So
No.
like the ketamine IVs, I think are great because you can just ramp it up and down, and you can start to where people just kind of feel a little weird. They're just like, I
Hmm.
don't know, things just don't feel quite normal, and you can go up to like maybe they're starting to see a little bit of light or feel a little something, or and they're comfortable there, and you can ramp them up. Or if they go, oh, this is way too intense, you can just ramp it down, and it's gone in a few minutes. Did you
Yeah.
have you ever used the 5-MeO DMT?
No, no, I never used DMT.
So that's the only. So yeah, there's still a stigma around any
Hmm.
type of hallucinogenic, because people think, oh, it's
Not in my
a
audience.
party drug or something, and I'm like, well,
My
you
audience
obviously.
loves this shit.
I'm like, obviously, you've never done Ibogaine, or you wouldn't think that would be a party drug. Because like,
Yeah.
once you do Ibogaine, you don't ever want to do Ibogaine again. Like I
No,
guarantee
right,
you.
right, right. Yeah.
But the 5-MeO DMT, it's like a complete dissociation of you.
Hmm.
Like it's complete ego death, and you have no control. There's no process. It's an explosion. Like
Oh, it's
you
instant, right?
you smoke it. Yeah, you smoke it like a crack pipe. It's a little
Yeah.
crystal, and they're heating it. And like as soon as you lay down and exhale, you're gone. I mean, it's like a rocket out of like off the planet, and you're just like, "Ugh." And so there's no resisting. There's no thinking about it. It's just like you're gone. Like
Yeah.
you turn into light or nothingness or whatever. Complete ego death, and it only lasts like 15 minutes. And then you're totally back down to normal, and you just
Yeah.
feel no hangover effect, anything. So I don't think it's not really that durable. Like you're not going to get a whole lot of long lasting effects. It's
Right.
mainly intellectual. So
Hmm.
that was the first psychedelic I'd ever done. And I did it right before a really busy period where I was doing uh, like 2 weeks in a row where I was just going from like symposium to symposium to symposium and being like
Mm.
on stage, lecturing, talking to
Oh
people,
wow. Yeah.
working at booths and all this stuff. And I was just revved up. I was anxious. I was, just kind of overwhelmed. And I did that. And then I was just laughing at myself going, oh my God. Yeah. It just puts everything in perspective. You're just like,
Yeah.
oh God, this is so stupid. Like, what am I stressed? Like, oh, and then like the next 2 weeks were great. Cause I was just like,
I can
but it was
imagine.
all
Yeah, what it
intellectual.
takes.
It was all
Yeah.
intellectual. I was just like that. Like, I'm like, whatever. Like, who cares? Who cares if my lecture flops? I don't like, whatever. I don't care. It's
Yeah.
like, I've been doing them for years. I'll keep doing them. Some of them will suck. That's the way the world goes, right?
Yeah, that's how it goes, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
if you feel it sucks, then probably the audience still thought it was absolutely amazing.
right, right,
Like
yeah,
they tell you after your lecture, this was like a life changing, speech, and
right.
so
Yeah,
so you go through it.
that's always surprising to me when that happens. And people are like, "Oh, I've something you said on a podcast, or I saw, or your lecture, or your book, or whatever," and life train. I'm like, really? Like I don't.
Yeah, but we're our
I'm
own
not that
worst
impressed with
critics.
anything I've ever said. I'm
We're
surprised.
we're our own worst critics, in that
Oh yeah,
sense. Like you
yeah,
always think you can do better, and
yeah, yeah.
you want it to be super perfect. But for most people, they usually walk away with a good experience.
Yeah, yeah,
What about ketamine infusions?
yeah.
Do you
So
incorporate that? Like I've used ketamine once where I was borderline K-hole,
yeah,
and then I had a bad experience because the disassociation and the sense of time was gone.
right,
So I wasn't sure if I was breathing. So I spent
right.
the next 10
Yeah,
minutes wondering if I was breathing or not. So I was really focusing on. I was horrible. Yeah.
I did
After that, I didn't want to do it again.
I did that with ayahuasca. I kept monitoring myself to see if I was dead. Like, am I breathing? Am I dead?
Yeah.
Is this death? I don't know. Like, but
Luckily, it goes away with
that lasted
ketamine.
8 hours. I was
Yeah.
that was 8 hours of that.
Oh my god.
But yeah, ketamine is obviously it's like a synthetic DMT. It's very close molecularly
Yeah.
to DMT. So it has a lot of the same dissociative processes. Um, it and on that scale, what I was saying, like the psilocybin, ayahuasca, ibogaine, ketamine is like down closer to DMT as far as like how durable those effects are. I think
Hmm.
because it's synthetic, it probably just gets metabolized into not completely non-useful byproducts. Is my guess. I don't know for sure. Whereas like the other things are being metabolized into things that are probably still beneficial towards the goal.
Right.
But ketamine, I think, is a great introduction because most people, let's face it, most people like have no idea what a psychedelic experience is going to be like, right?
Yeah.
And there's an amazing amount of fear around that uncertainty. And so if you're taking somebody, you know, probably one of the reasons you're doing is because you're struggling emotionally,
Yeah.
cognitively,
Hmm.
psychologically. So if you're struggling like that, how much more fear inducing is that to try to say, well, I'm going to make you completely lose your mind for a few hours and we in hopes that you come back better. And like that's not a very appetizing proposition for most
No.
people. So
No.
like the ketamine IVs I think are great because you can just ramp it up and down, and you can start to where people just kind of feel a little weird. They're just like, I
Hmm.
don't know, things just don't feel quite normal. And you can go up to like maybe they're starting to see a little bit of light or feel a little something, or and
Yeah.
they're comfortable there, and you can ramp them up. Or if they go, oh, this is way too intense, you can just ramp it down and it's gone in a few minutes. And I
Right.
so I,
Yeah.
I think it's a good introduction for that, but I don't
It's a
think that
gateway.
the
It's a gateway drug.
right, it's the gateway. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a positive way though. It's
Yeah.
a good gateway drug. But I don't think it's as durable as the others, is like the true
No,
plant
it's
medicines that they're copying.
so I see a lot of people that have good experience with like IV ketamine as a beginner because again it metabolizes quite rapidly. So for people without any real experience with psychedelics or these kinds of dissociative drugs,
Right.
it might be a good entry into giving that a try, and then maybe that's in combination with EDMR, right?
Yep.
That sometimes
Yep.
works quite well for PTSD. And then later on, if that is unsuccessful, but they do have some experience with it, then yes, you could do the ayahuasca trip or the Ibogaine or a hair's dose of
Yeah.
LSD and or psilocybin, right?
Right. And then you have some idea of what you're getting into. And
Yeah.
then also if anybody's going to do a psychedelic, it I I highly recommend like doing that in a controlled environment. I feel
Yeah.
like what they call the set and the setting seems to be more
Hmm.
important than the drug itself as to what you're going to experience. And so
Yeah. Hmm.
if you're in a dark place, if you're in a place that could possibly be dangerous, just like whatever, you're just not in a nice neighborhood and you're doing it at somebody's house, and like that could sketch you out or something. So if you can work with somebody who's experienced with that,
Yeah.
we've all heard the stories of the 60s and 70s people having LSD trips and then having like flashbacks their whole life. They have this bad LSD trip or something. That's almost completely removed if you're working with people who are experienced, and because they prep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some preparation. They tell you, hey, these are the types of things that are going to happen to you, and these are the sort of thoughts you're going to have, and these are the things that are going to make you. These are the things you're going to be afraid of. Here's
Right.
how you handle them, and I'm going to be sitting right next to you. So if you need help, you can just like say, hey, help
Yeah, you
me.
be the
Yeah,
the trip sitter basically, right? That's
yeah,
what we
yeah,
used to do for psychedelic experience back in the day when it was
yeah,
not for therapeutic purposes, but you have one guy to kind of be the co-driver and to kind of guide you through the experience and make sure that you're on the right mindset. And then for
yeah.
the
And
first
talk.
couple of times, that really makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
And then you kind of rotate through your friend group who is going to be the one that is going to be sober and make sure that everybody's comfortable.
yeah.
You know?
But my biggest fear when like I said, the first thing I did was ayahuasca. My biggest fear was
Yeah.
that I was going to lose my mind or something. Like what if I go on a killing rampage or something, or like I run through a glass door? Like I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect. And and I'm looking around the room going, like, who in here is going to stop me? Like if I
Oh,
if
you're a
I get
fucking
raged
seal,
out,
right?
it's like
Yeah.
who's gonna? There's nobody here going to stop me. So am I safe? And then when we started doing the ceremony, I thought, oh, well, the shaman and his little
Mhm.
group of people, they're going to be here to help us. But then they did the ayahuasca, and I'm like, well, they're high too. Who are they going to help? Like, and so I think that's why I had such a bad experience with ayahuasca,
Yeah,
because I
probably.
didn't feel safe. I
Yeah.
just
Oh,
thought.
right. Yeah.
I just thought, man, this could break bad so quickly, and there's nobody here who can handle it. And I felt like it was my job to be protecting everybody, and I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. I was sitting there
Well, you can
afraid
get
that.
some. You can get some like guidance out of that also, right? Where
Yeah,
you just.
yeah. I mean, and every time I did a psychedelic, that
Mhm.
some flavor of that came back, and it took me a while. I'm dumb, but I'm slow. And it took me a while to figure out. Oh, I have like huge protective issues, like the superhero complex that I need to protect.
Ah,
I
right.
like
Yeah.
even when I'm doing it in a room full of other Navy SEALs, I'm like, I'm protecting everybody here. It's like
Uh-huh.
I'm the oldest, I'm the dinosaur in the room. Like I'm doing it
Yeah,
with
yeah, yeah, yeah.
guys that are
Well, they
25,
can also give you
35
some
years old.
purpose, right?
Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't know. I got to make
Oh,
sure everybody's okay.
one
Yeah.
second. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Internet connection issues. So yeah, I mean, it can also give you some purpose, right? If you figured it out with a couple trips where you say, I'm always the protector,
Yep. Yep.
right? And sometimes like I said, sometimes it takes a couple sessions before you really get to the root of what's going on. And
Right.
sometimes it's hard to kind of open up and really let it happen.
Oh, for sure.
You
The
know?
the surrender is the key. I mean, like
Yeah.
there's almost nothing in it if you can't surrender.
Yeah.
But you think about the population I'm working with. What are the odds they're going to surrender?
No, that's probably
That's
the last thing that they do. Yeah.
yeah. So that's one of the reasons that I think my community uses Ibogaine so much, because I kind of have a little prejudice against it, because I'm like, well, that's the most dangerous one. Like that's the
Mm.
nuclear option of all of
Yeah.
these,
It's an end
right?
stage for most guys. Yeah.
Right. And but my communities, it's just that way. It's like, well, their buddy did it, right? So like, well, he did it, so I'm going to do it. Like, I want help. I want what he did, and if he can
Yeah.
do it, I can do it, right? And then it's like this. But uh, I think it's probably good because you don't have a choice on Ibogaine, right? Like if you get
No,
dosed
right. Yeah,
properly, it's
it's
like,
some like same as what I heard from DMT. It just
yeah,
happens, so you got to let go. And but
yeah.
like with mushrooms or LSD, you can kind of dose it until you say like, "Fuck it, I'm going to go to the full 10 grams."
right.
With with mushrooms, and then in the beginning it's like, this is pretty cool, and then after a while it gets too overwhelming, and then you just got to say, okay, fuck it,
Yep, yep, yep.
whatever happens
And
happens.
it's when you go, okay, like
Yeah.
that's when all the breakthrough happens. Like, all right,
Yeah, you
here,
melt
all
to the
right,
couch, and then the good stuff will happen, But like
yep,
letting go, that's the hardest part,
yep,
for a
yep,
lot of guys.
yep, for sure.
Good stuff. Hey, this was very insightful.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Where can people find you?
Uh, Doc, so DOC, short for doctor, Doc Parsley, like the herb, docparsley.com.
Mm-hmm.
That has all my social on it. I honestly don't know my social that well. It's like some of it's at Kirk Parsley, some of it's at Doc Parsley.
I'll
So
link it down below.
yeah, okay.
I'll link it down below.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Cool.
thanks for having me on, man. I really enjoyed it, and
Yeah,
I'm
this
gonna,
was
I'm
a
going
lot
to
of
keep
fun.
following your work. I like what you do and say, and if there's if you ever want to talk to me again about anything, I'm always available.
Likewise, yeah, I'll let you
Yeah.
know. I'll follow your podcast, and I'd love to have you on again.